All right, the parents of a 6-year-old boy who ran a complete 26.2-mile marathon are facing increasing backlash tonight amid concern for the child's physical and mental well-being. Now, the family has confirmed it's been visited by Child Protective Services, and the question is it legal? Let's talk about it with civil rights attorney Robert Patillo and criminal defense attorney David Bruno. Gentlemen, great to see you both.
Good to see you both as well.
Okay. So this is what the parents had to say on Instagram. Yesterday, Child Protective Services arrived at our home unannounced and interviewed our children, parents, and grandmother. It's a scary process because usually children are interrogated away from their parents against their will, and their answers determine the agency's legal right to take away the kid. So, Robert, did these parents do anything illegal by having this 6-year-old run a marathon? They said he wanted to do it, he trained with them, and they let him do it.
Well, I think we have to think about the fact that the marathon is a private event, and so you have to go by the rules which are set up by the organizers of such. Now, if they simply wanted to have their child run 26 miles for some reason outside of an organized event, then that's their prerogative. But once you involve the organizers of the event, well, you have to think about the other runners. You have to think about the insurance liability of the company involved. So depending on the local statutes that are governing, you could indeed run afoul of the law of just simply negligence in thinking about the fact that you have a child exerting themselves in a way which is not concomitant with the way that a normal 6-year-old is exerting themselves. So you could indeed be run afoul of the law by doing so.
All right, so Child Protective Services looking into it. Right now, the Flying Pig Marathon has a statement. That's the name of the race they did. They say the decision was not made lightly to let this little child be in the race. They say the father was determined to do the race with his young child regardless. They had done it as bandits in prior years. They have several kids that run with them before we had any knowledge of it, and we knew he was likely to do so. Again, the intent was to try to offer protection and support if they were on our course, medical, fluid, and replenishment. Our decision was intended for some amount of safety and protection for the child. But David, what they said is going forward, they're not going to let anybody violate the 18-year-old age limit.
Yeah, good idea. It was their rule. Their rule said that no child under the age of 18 would run. And look, that's a cop-out right there. Luckily for the race, luckily for the parents and everybody associated, that there was not an injury, because all of us lawyers would agree that if there was, there would be some liability on the race itself by allowing that to happen. But as far as the statute on point, in Ohio, it's an endangering the child statute that would be applicable, at least criminally. And look, it does not actually require the injury of the child. It's really geared towards the risk. For a parent to have custody of a child, they owe a duty of care to that child. And it's a violation if they create a substantial risk to the health or safety of the child by violating the duty of care. So when we look at the analysis of that, it does not require the injury itself. So we look at the risk, and there have been doctors that have been vocal about this, that there were risks because of the growth plates not being mature, hydration, various different issues that could have happened because of the age of this child that could go to that substantial risk. So that statute is in play, and that is why they got a visit from Child Protective Services.
And apparently I think the mom is a nurse, and they said they felt very good about the medical tracking they were doing on this child as they were going through the race and in the training. Got to show you this little picture, though, of the little boy with his Pringles. He's a big fan of Pringles, and who isn't? But apparently he knew that they handed out Pringles around mile 20. When they got there, it said he was struggling physically. This according to the parents' post. He wanted to take a break. There were 7 hours. They finally got to mile 20, and there was an abandoned table and empty boxes, so there were no Pringles waiting for him. He was crying, moving slowly. I told him I would buy him 2 sleeves if he kept going, and had to promise him another sleeve to get him in the family pick at the finish line, and today I paid him off. Listen, I've done a marathon. I was also crying and moving slowly at mile 20. It's not easy. Pringles might have kept me going. I don't know. They didn't have those on the track, but I can't imagine a kid this little being able to do it. But they said most of it that they did walk. So we're going to, watch this case, see what happens if anything comes from this visit. In the meantime, the 6-year-old can now say he's already done a marathon. Robert and David, I'm tired thinking about it. Thank you both.
I know.
Thanks,
you know what? We have no reason anymore to say we're not running marathons. I got to sign up.
Listen, I have every reason not to. So I'm not going to.
I do tell people, though, if I've done it, just about anybody can do it. And that's true. All right, we'll see you guys again soon.
You too. Thanks, Shannon.
All right, some good news before we